So the new deal between the Liberals and the NDP in Ottawa could have some implications for some top banks.
Yeah, it might not be good for the banks at all, Cynthia. During the election campaign, Justin Trudeau, he pledged to enact a 3% surtax on bank and insurance company profits for every dollar over $1 billion that they make. And the Liberals said at the time that it could generate $2.5 billion in revenue over the next 4 years. There was no movement on this issue since the election. However, the banking surtax appears to now be back on the table as part of this agreement that will see the NDP support the Trudeau minority government. During this morning's press conference, the Prime Minister said he would be addressing the profits made by financial institutions during the pandemic. Cynthia, Canadian banks, they made record profits during the pandemic, while, of course, unemployment surged. The Canadian Banking Association has previously criticized this Liberal surtax for singling out financial services. So it looks like now this could be back on the table. It could be crimping the profits at the banks.
Well, and we know Jagmeet Singh has wanted to have banks make a little bit less money to share the wealth, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so interesting to see. But yes, I imagine the banks are not happy. Now let's talk about some positive news for the supply chain, because yesterday we were here talking and it was looking a little grim, but some positive news now.
We were talking about CP Rail going on strike and all the implications that would have, but yeah, good news on that front. In that the strike is over as quick as it began. CP Rail has agreed to arbitration with the union, and this is good news, particularly for farmers, both here and at home, Cynthia, both at home and abroad, who were worried about getting their fertilizer they need for their crops that they're going to plant in the next few weeks. Canada is a big producer of fertilizer. A lot of it moves on railways, including CP Rail. It had shut down operations Sunday, but the railway says it's going to get up and running lickety-split. Federal Labour Minister Seamus O'Regan said the outcome is, quote, further evidence that when employers and unions work together, that good things can happen. But Ottawa had been under pressure to enact back-to-work legislation that this thing dragged on.
Definitely. I mean, the implications were pretty rough for many. So who doesn't love a good bag of potato chips every now and then?
Preaching to the choir right here, Cynthia.
I have some every now and then. But there are changes coming due to inflation, and not a lot of people are going to be happy to hear this.
Especially if you're a fan of Doritos, Sin. Every bag of Doritos is now going to have 5 fewer chips, believe it or not.
The big ones or small ones that
I think
break
this
off?
is the big bag they're talking about. I don't buy the small bags, Sin. I wouldn't know. It's called shrinkflation, though, and this is something that we've seen a lot of brands do. It's when you get a food product that is packaged the same, it's priced the same, but you get slightly less of it.
Sneaky.
Yes, and that's because, these companies, the input costs are costing them more, the transportation's costing them more. They don't want to hike prices for you and I, so they're going to reduce the amount in there. You'd think 5 chips, well, what difference does this really make? But analysts say that Frito-Lay could save about $50 million by doing this.
Interesting, and I wonder if the average person like us would notice 5 missing chips.
Richard, might be a net benefit for yours truly, quite frankly, Sen.
But already, I gotta say, it feels like there's a lot more air in those bags than chips.
Yeah, like half air that we're paying for.
Exactly. Well, all right, rarefied air. Richard, always great to talk to you. Thank you very much.